Welcome into the inaugural episode of the Dead Arm Sports NBA show featuring our newcomer, Mr. Big Crit, the Hooper himself.
Yes, sir. Yes,
rocking
sir. Yes, sir.
Big plaid over there for you YouTube viewers.
Gotta do it.
Yeah. We are live on YouTube, live on a Monday. So make sure to if you are not currently subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to do so. Just search Dead Arm Sports in that search bar. Our channel should be the first thing that pops up at the top of your search bar. And hit that subscribe button, hit that alert button as well, so that you do get notifications when we do go live. Always looking for listener feedback, any sort of conversation that you may be looking to have, or any topics you want us to bring up, any questions that you have, and we can address those live on the show. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Dead Arm Sports. Also on our Facebook page, just search Dead Arm Sports. You'll find all of our links there to all of our content, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, all that good is available for your convenience. If you are viewing again on YouTube, you can see that the fire is lit behind me.
Raging.
So we are raging bull. So we are ready to go. But speaking of lit, Crit, let me turn it over to you. You sipping on anything on this fine Monday night?
Yeah, it's Monday evening. I got a little session pale ale by Enlightened Brewing here in Milwaukee.
Forest Friend, is that what I saw?
Forest Friend. Yep.
How is it? Never even heard of it.
It's good. It's got like a little piney kind of finish to it, so I like it.
First timer on it, or is this something you've had a few times before?
I got a sixer the other day. This is probably like the third one I've had, so it's growing on me.
What was the brewery? Enlightened. Never even heard of them. Is that Milwaukee?
It's in like the Bayview area.
So that's pretty close to your spot then. Is that a new brewery? I don't know. I've been out of Milwaukee now for 6 years, 7 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
I moved in August of 15. So yeah, 7 years.
Yeah. I'm not sure about how new they are, but I've kind of been seeing them around stores more and more. And I don't know. Just
Forest Friend, I guess that kind of makes sense given that it's an IPA, the old pine action. Right on.
Right. It does have some floral notes, so it's good.
Given that it's a Monday, I'm rocking a Miller for the old Miller Monday. So
I like it.
Nothing extremely special here, but I do appreciate the white can. I know that there was that time back before I could drink. Either of us could drink when they had the light blue can, and I think the white can looks a little cleaner, little old school retro action. So I'm into that.
I do like that. It's been a while since I've thought of the blue can, to be honest.
I know. We're gonna be NBA talk all this entire episode. Obviously, dog days of summer, where NBA schedule has been released. The Christmas schedule is out, but we're still in the midst of some trade talks that are out there between Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell. It's extension season for other superstars, so really we're gonna hit the ground running here with LeBron, Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, and it should be a pretty good some pretty good insight here. But let's kick it off, or I should say, let's tip it off.
Ooh, okay.
With a little LeBron James. Not sure if you've ever heard of him. He's an LA Laker.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I think
is he good? Good player.
Okay. Let's go question of the day here.
Okay.
Where do you rank him over all time?
All time. I
mean, it's at this point, it's like a LeBron, MJ, Magic, Kareem type of a debate.
Yeah.
Where does he sit on your list there?
I go 2. I do. I don't know if that's the boring pick, but I put him at 2. I know that's putting him above a lot of guys like Kareem, Bill Russell, Magic, and Kobe. Like there, I mean, there's just so many. I just think like, especially if he gets the scoring title this year, which I believe he is
He's on, as long as
attainable.
he's healthy, he's gonna
Yeah,
get there.
yeah. So if he gets that, I mean, unless you're putting all the stock into just rings, or everybody kind of judges it a little differently. I think that greatness goes beyond just how many championships you've gotten. If you look at his just entire resume, I mean, where he sits on top lists with assists, points, steals, everything, like he's really high up there on most of them. I think assists too, he's top 10, I believe.
He's
or
should
he's
be
up
somewhere
there.
up
He's
there.
up
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but I mean, it's just amazing. And like the level of consistency that I believe I saw a stat the other day, was like when his second year in the league, he was scoring like 27 points per game, and he was what, 19 years old. And
Yeah, it was, I think, his
he's
second. Yeah, he came into the league at 18.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
And now he's 36, and last year he almost won the scoring title. I mean, it's just amazing. Like longevity to me goes a long way, and I think there's never been a player in the NBA that's had as long of a stretch of dominance as LeBron.
It's been amazing too to see what he's been able to do with his game. I mean, when he first came into the league, he was just kind of like, this athletic high flyer type of player. Didn't have really much of a perimeter game. Didn't really, honestly, he's always been a great passer, even in high school. I mean, he averaged more points per game his junior year of high school than his senior year. And he could have, I mean, the way LeBron was in high school, he could have gone out and scored 50, 60 points a game if he wanted to. I mean, he was just that level of size and athleticism, absolute freak show.
Right.
But he had always made it a point to get his teammates as involved as possible. And so when he came to the league, he pretty much had that same game. Athletic freak, high flyer, but also great distributor. From there, he kind of gets a little bit bigger, turns more into that kind of, driving freight train, has the ability to post up, kind of developed a little bit of kind of a Dirk type of, kind of what we're seeing out of Giannis, that kind of mid-range Dirk, kind of developing type of a shot. And then later in his, maybe his last year with the Heat, he really starts to develop a 3-point shot. And then now he's kind of and really those Heat years, I think that was certainly his athletic prime. That some of those plays with him and D Wade, I know there's one in particular. There's this still frame of Wade throwing up the alley-oop to LeBron, and this the sweet still frame of LeBron up in the air catching and dunking the ball with one hand. That was actually at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. I think I saw Jabari Parker was on the court.
Okay.
So that was a while ago, but I may be wrong on that, but it was a while. No, that can't be right.
I don't know, because that I was thinking of the one that he did over Jason Terry. I thought that's what you were describing.
Maybe it was Jason Terry. That timeline makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and I think he was on the Celtics at that. Well, yeah.
The one I'm thinking of was definitely
maybe?
Against the Bucks.
Okay.
White jerseys, green lettering.
If we're talking about LeBron and dunks, I mean, I don't.
It could be a million different things we're looking at.
One other thing with LeBron too. I mean, obviously his offense is top notch. They are top notch of all time, Mount Rushmore. But like his defense too, especially in those Heat years, was pretty elite. I mean, he was just like, he's so big, so strong. I don't believe he ever won Defensive Player of the Year.
I think he's finished like top 3 once or twice, but I don't think he ever won it.
But I mean, I know he's been on. I don't have the number in front of me, but I know he's been on all defensive teams. Like he's just like a complete player. I
mean, and look at that. What year was it? Maybe 2015, 2016. He had that block on Iguodala.
Oh my God.
That nasty. Basically saved the finals for him, that game 7. And then that's what allowed that Kyrie jump shot. So it would have been game 6, I think. Maybe it was game 7. Kyrie to get that 3 to basically win the finals for him. That was a game 7 then. So yeah, I mean, just all around player, now transitioning into primarily a perimeter player, 3-point shooter, distributor, and still has the athleticism to do some ridiculously nasty dunks. So yeah, longevity, way he's been able to change his game throughout his career. I think it's stupid. The argument is stupid to say, MJ went 6 for 6 in finals. Yeah, LeBron has only won he won his 1 with the Cavs, 1 with the Lakers, and 2 with the Heat. So he's won 4, but he's also been to 9, maybe 10 finals now. So I don't know.
I think it's 10 now with the one with
the Lakers. Yeah, the Mickey Mouse championship.
But it was 9 straight years. I believe he went to the finals
9 straight years. Yeah, that's right. It was 9 straight years, and then the little break, and then he got there with the Lakers. So just amazing what he's been able to do. I think that title argument is kind of stupid. I mean, the guy's got 4. If we want to make the title argument, okay, Bill Russell has 11. So I don't know, but
you look at some of those, not that like MJ had the best teams of all time. I mean, he is such a great player, but he had Hall of Famers on his team. Like, look at some of those teams that LeBron had that he did deep playoff runs with. I mean, like J.R. Smith was like a 3rd scorer.
That's ridiculous.
Like, that's like really bad. And like, you had Tristan Thompson starting and like getting heavy minutes. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think early in Cleveland, when they were going on some big runs, like his second best player was Big Z.
It was like Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Boobie Gibson, like
Mo Williams was.
I think Larry Hughes might have been out there.
It's ridiculous.
Drew, like an old Drew Gooden.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I still probably say MJ number 1 overall just because of how, I don't know, the game looks so easy for MJ. If you just look at some of the highlights, like everything is so smooth, and he could just jump and rise over people with such ease. So I still say MJ is the more, I don't know. I still put him up as the GOAT right now, but I mean, there's an easy argument to make with LeBron, but we'll have to see what he does for the rest of his career. Him and Darvin Ham, new coach, former Bucks assistant, and Ham has come in there. He's gone ham and really, kind of created this new presence within the Lakers and the Laker locker room, making it vocal that he's going to be demanding of all of his players. There's going to be a massive focus on defense. If you don't want to play in the role that I assign you to, too bad. Then you're not playing at all. So he's been, I love that he's been given that power to, to make the decisions. And really, Frank Vogel, unfortunately for him, didn't have that same autonomy, and that created a ton of issues. I mean, we saw how that worked out last year, where Russell Westbrook still thinks that he's 27-year-old Russell Westbrook, and he's not the same player that he was. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't want to accept a role as the number 3 on that team. And that really contributed to a lot of the Lakers' struggles last year. So great to see that Darvin Ham is being able to he has the autonomy to come in and do what he wants and really manage the team as he pleases.
Right. I mean, it has to be this way, right? Like, you can't just, especially considering how much of a dumpster fire it was last year and how it ended with Vogel. Like, you can't bring in a new coach and strap him up, sign him up for that same treatment. Like, it's just not going to work. And Darvin doesn't seem like that kind of coach. He seems like he's obviously, he is a player's coach, but he just seems like he's kind of a hard ass, for lack of a better word. Like, he's going to be demanding of what he wants. He's going to be a player's coach. He's going to be good to them, but he's going to hold them to a higher standard. And
he should. And
as you should, as a head coach, you should.
That's the thing is a lot of great players want to be coached hard,
right?
Because that's the only, I mean, that's how you become a professional. That's how you improve. I mean, we all know people that, high school athletes, especially, that have had all the athletic gifts in the world and just didn't have this drive, the work ethic, the desire to be coached, and end up flaming out after their senior year, and never amount to the potential, the athletic potential that they had. But whether that's them not working at it, they're thinking, okay, I can dominate at the high school level. Then you get to college, and everybody in college is as good as you as an athlete, just about. I mean, there's obvious athletic freaks on every level, but but then you get to the professional level, and these are the top athletes in the entire world. And having that drive, having that desire to get better, having that work ethic is what makes what takes you to the next level. And so most good players do want to be coached hard, and that's what I like about this Darvin Ham approach, and him being able to do what he wants, coach how he wants. And he did have, so him, LeBron, and I don't know, Rob Pelinka, I believe, president of basketball operations for the Lakers, had a sit down meeting, and they're all on the same page. That's exactly what they want out of Darvin Ham.
Yep. No, exactly. And like, it shouldn't even be a question, but I was reading that, like, they're allowing him to bench whoever he wants to bench, like that's even an option. Like, the coach should be able to do that no matter what. And I think that was such a big problem last year for Vogel, is that it was such a big headline that they trade for Russell Westbrook and the big three, and then, the return to LA. And it was just like, towards the end, I think Vogel wanted to bench him for quite a while because he was pretty bad, and he just couldn't do it. And I think that's just, you can't have Darvin Ham come in there and give him that same treatment. And I mean, yeah, if Russ doesn't get with the program, man, I don't know. He might either be shipped out or just phased out.
I think he should already be out regardless. But
I think so too.
I mean, his skill set and LeBron's just don't match up necessarily. But we'll see how that shakes out. But shortly after that meeting, and I think the fact that everybody kind of got on the same page there, LeBron ended up signing a 2-year extension with the Lakers. He did have an out after this season if he wanted it. So he did sign a 2-year extension with LA. I believe there may be an opt-out after the 2023 season. Do you know?
He's got a player option. So it's basically a 1+1.
Okay,
so
which is what he signed in Cleveland,
his
at least his entire second tenure with the Cavs.
And I think, obviously there's been a ton of talk, and he's said it himself that, like, I think he really wants to play with his son. I think this definitely comes down to, like, if the Lakers have a terrible year this year, and he just, obviously he only has very limited amount of years of high level basketball left, even for the greatness of LeBron James. I mean, he's going to be 37 years old. You just can't expect that he's going to be gone for much longer. And I think there is some, there's something to that, where he's going to see where Bronny might go, or maybe, maybe do the return to Cleveland sort of thing after this year, if there's just like a horrible
imagine that, a third one.
Yeah. So I don't blame him for doing that. And I mean, it didn't surprise me at all that it was a player option.
So let me drop this theory on you, something I've been kind of thinking about for a while. And, he made it known a while ago that he wants to play with Bronny. Bronny right now is not necessarily a lock to be a high-end pick. He's maybe a borderline late second round pick based on his prospect ratings and his recruiting rankings. But so my theory is, if you're one of those top 6, top 8 teams, an Indiana, a Sacramento, a Charlotte type of a team, where you're kind of, it's like you feel like you're so damn close. Do you think, let's say you got the number 8 pick, but you think by adding a LeBron you're that close? Do you take Bronny in the top 10, knowing that that's a package deal for LeBron instead of another top 10 prospect?
No, absolutely.
Really?
Not. I wouldn't. I mean, like you said, I would definitely take a second round flyer on him. Or if I'm a team maybe with the last pick in the first round, or like a bottom, like a pick in the late 20s, I wouldn't take a top. I mean, I just think top 10, that's a little too sweet for me. There's so much good talent there, and you are mortgaging, I mean, the future of your team. I mean, you're going to get what, maybe 2 really good years out of LeBron if he comes at that point, if you're lucky.
Let's say you're the Knicks and you have another top 10 pick, and it's like, you and Bronny's there at, again, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
You still have and this is, assuming that this Donovan Mitchell trade doesn't go down, or maybe it still does go down, and you've got Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, potentially Donovan Mitchell, and you've got Bronny out there available at 8 or at wherever they're picking, and you think, okay, if I take Bronny here, that means I get LeBron for these next 2 years. At that point, I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, let's say you're one of those borderline teams. What's the line for you? I mean, if you're saying back into the second round, well, of course, adding LeBron, you're gonna be light years ahead of everybody. But I'm saying, what if you're one of those fringe teams, right at within the top 10 though, and you are the Knicks. You're one of those. I'm not saying the Jazz. They're obviously trying to build towards something for 2028. I mean, they're blowing up everything. Mm-hmm. But if you're the Knicks and you're picking in the late top 10 again, which they're doing now just about every year, outside of 2 seasons ago when they were flameouts in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, what's the line to say, okay, it's worth it to get 2 years out of LeBron? Bronny may suck. He may just be a bench. He may just ride the pine. Mm-hmm. But I get 2 years of LeBron. I guess what is that line? Because that's effectively a package deal. That's the way that I'm looking at it, at least. That's a package deal.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that now, especially given that LeBron's got that opt out after the 2023 season, which is when Bronny would be eligible to be drafted.
And he has made it clear that he wants to play with Bronny. I mean, that is true. And I mean, I think out of all the teams to pick, like, if you're in the top 15 out of all the teams that would probably be desperate enough to do that, the Knicks would be up there for me, because the Knicks don't necessarily have the best management. It's just like, for me as a GM, it would be tough for me to spend a top 15 pick. I mean, I guess at that point, it's almost like you're trading a pick away to get LeBron. I mean, again, Bronny.
That's the way that I'm looking at it. So how high of a pick does that have to be to get 2 years of LeBron? Or how low would you go?
I don't know.
Obviously, depends organizationally. Pick. I mean, if you're Chicago and you miss the playoffs again, or, well, they made it last year, but let's say they missed the playoffs. I mean, I
would do like
Orlando, probably not. Utah, probably not. Yeah. But
the Knicks probably would do something like that. Like, maybe Cleveland would, if because they got some young guys. And
I don't think Cleveland's going to be in that position, though. I mean, they've got Darius Strickland and
Garland,
Evan, Darius Garland, yeah. Who the hell is Darius Strickland?
I don't know. He gets a shout out, though.
That might be a shooting guard from like the 2003 Blazers, for all I know. I'm gonna look that up in a little bit here. Yeah. But like, I mean, I don't think the Cavs are going to be in that position. That's my issue with Cleveland, is because they're not going to be. I mean, they're not going to be a lottery pick. There's no chance with Evan Mobley and him being now in year 2. Darius Garland.
Jared Allen.
Their other pieces. They got that Lauri Markkanen, I believe, is a cat. Yep. So, I'm just thinking out loud here. But let's given that we just something to keep an eye on, I guess. I mean, we're 2 drafts out from that happening. So,
I mean, I would say my answer would be, I don't think I would give up a lottery pick for him. I would maybe think about it like in that 15 to 20 range, maybe.
So if you're already in the playoffs.
Yeah, right. And you that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think a team that missed the playoffs would, and I don't even know if LeBron would want to come to a team like that. I mean, even if Bronny was there, I think like LeBron would clearly want to play with Bronny, but I think almost more importantly, he'd want to win another championship. So I don't know, it'd be tough. Like if the Kings took Bronny, LeBron's not going to go play for the Kings. Like
he'd have to have the old helicopter ride. He'd probably stay in LA and have the helicopter ride to and from the arena.
Yeah. He'd be pulling like a Kylie Jenner, just the helicopter in there and back.
Fuck that.
Like, I just have a hard time. Like, it would have to be the right fit. That's why if I'm like, I think the Knicks, that'd be a possibility because they got some good young players. And if RJ takes another step, if Brunson continues to get better, if they're able to keep RJ Barrett, if they trade for Mitchell, and it would have to be the right situation. But for me, even if it is the right situation, I don't know if I'm giving up a lottery pick just for like a 1 year maybe of LeBron. And then what if he gets injured and you just missed drafting like the next cornerstone of your franchise or like second, third piece of like your future championship? I don't know. It'd be tough.
Darius Strickland, coach of the Phoenix Gliders track and field team. He's also a state licensed insurance agent. Ooh, so Darius Strickland really got it going.
And apparently he plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers too. So shout out to him, man. He's killing it.
Oh, shoot. There's another Darius Strickland that played for Georgia Tech. So
maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Or no, it looks like he's a coach. Either way. Okay, moving on. So I guess sticking kind of with that Knicks theme here. Knicks and Jazz have reopened trade talks for Donovan Mitchell going from Utah to New York. Can you give the details on that last offer and just kind of your thoughts on what you think it's gonna take to be able to get anything, or what it's gonna take for New York to be able to get Donovan Mitchell? Because obviously we saw the Rudy Gobert price tag. Donovan Mitchell's gonna be, I would think, gonna be just as steep, if not steeper. I think deserves to be steeper.
Right. As of this morning, I believe I saw that the Jazz wanted more from the Knicks. So the Knicks apparently offered Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier, and it was, quote, some picks. So I'm not sure how many first round picks they offered. Last time I saw, they were looking in the range of like 5 to 6 first round picks, which is insanely steep. But I mean, they technically got 5 first round picks for Rudy Gobert. So you would think that, like, in a vacuum, Donovan Mitchell is a better player than Rudy Gobert, but the Timberwolves were desperate enough to trade that much to get him because they thought it would put them over the top. So who knows how many picks the Knicks offered. I think it's kind of a low ball move because Fournier and Toppin and a few first round picks isn't enough to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Fournier is a salary dump.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be included basically for the salary to match.
Right. So
and Obi Toppin, I mean, if you think he's going to be, I don't know. At this point, like, I don't think he's ever going to be a great player. He could be a good.
No, he's a nice dunker. That's about it.
He's shown that he can shoot a little bit from the outside. Like, he had a good finish to last year, I will say that. But Obi as the centerpiece and a few first round picks is not enough. I mean, I don't know if I'm giving up like the 5-6 first round picks that was rumored to be the Jazz's asking price for him, because that seems a little steep. I would maybe consider throwing RJ in there if it lowers the pick cost. Personally, I'd probably try to be getting Julius Randle out of town, get him out of there with a few first round picks, but I don't know. I think the Jazz don't really have a lot of incentive just to trade him for nothing. It's kind of like the KD thing. Like, he's under contract for multiple seasons. It's not like he demanded a trade publicly. I just think the Danny Ainge is a smart man.
Yeah, I was just gonna. I mean, the Knicks do have a little bit more. They've got a little bit more draft capital, I think, than we're really realizing. Because they did trade that number 11 pick this past draft to the Thunder for 3 future first rounders.
Yep.
So now, what's kind of goofy about that is that OKC, all 3 of those first round picks were not their own. They were acquired from previous trades with Detroit, Denver, and the Wizards. So who knows kind of how those first round picks will end up ultimately. That Wizards pick, knowing Washington, will end up being that'll be a high pick. Denver's will probably be low, and Detroit's ascending, so that may not be a super high pick.
I believe they all have protections on them as well. I don't think they weren't unprotected.
They are. Yeah, it is three protected.
So what those protections are, I don't remember. But
here it is. Okay, Washington top 14 protected, Denver top But protected, Detroit top 18 protected. So 3 non-lottery picks.
Yeah.
Which kind of stinks.
But picks are picks, and I think if they want to,
which that's what Danny Ainge wants. Clearly, is as many as possible.
And that's what I was getting at too. Like he's a smart owner. I feel like he's never going to do a deal where he feels like he's getting the short end of the stick, and he doesn't have an incentive to trade Donovan Mitchell. He could just let him play out this season. I mean, he's going to wait till the best deal comes in. And I don't think he's just going to do New York a favor and just give him Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to Danny Ainge and his history of trades.
Oh yeah,
he is not going to get gypped. No. So that trade that he made with the desperate Nets.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When he was the Celtics GM, traded old Kevin Garnett, old Paul Pierce, old as hell Jason Terry, and DJ White, who's, kind of a middle of the road guy at the time, for a ton of picks. And he flipped those picks and turned them into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum being a first team all NBA player this past season, and Jaylen Brown, who showed that he played better in the playoffs than Tatum did, honestly, this past postseason. So yeah, Danny Ainge ain't gonna give him away. And then we saw what he did with Gobert, turn that into 3 or 4 rotational players plus 4 first round picks.
Unbelievable. And he got Walker Kessler, who was their first round pick. So he basically got 5 first round picks.
Walker Kessler was in the deal. Okay, so that's 5 first round picks basically, plus a couple of rotational players.
You got some nice pieces. I mean, Patrick Beverley is a good trade piece for them. Obviously, he's past his prime. He's not going to be in their future plans. But like a Jared Vanderbilt, a young guy, really, really good on the defensive end, really good. His offensive game is a question mark, but like he could be a piece going into the future. They got some really good players in that deal.
And they're, ultimately
Malik
they're
Beasley
going to
too, I believe.
Malik Beasley. Yeah, he was in the deal.
He's a good player. I mean, these are they're perfect trade candidates too. Like they could just flip those assets at the trade deadline into more first round picks.
Yeah. And the other thing too, is that Utah is going to they're going to be going balls to the walls to try to get this prospect out of France. I don't know the pronunciation of his name, but he's basically Victor Wembanyama. Is that right?
Yeah. That's how I've heard it pronounced. If we're wrong, I apologize. But
that's close as we're probably
Wembanyama. Yeah.
Which we should be pretty good at international long names, given that we've got Antetokounmpo and
Mr. Alphabet. Yeah.
But Victor Wembanyama, Jesus, Frank, is supposed to be, he's supposed to be the best prospect in, God knows how long. So, just an absolute freak, has game on all levels at the hoop. I think he's close to 7 feet, and he's got like a 7'8" wingspan. So mad length, little thin, but he's 17, 18 years old. He's going to grow he should be able to grow into a body. We saw Giannis's transformation from when he was first drafted where he looked like a child, and now he's effectively a a
I mean,
moving
he's a man.
statue. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he's a
built like
tank
a
now.
statue. Jim
Yeah.
Brown.
And like that's, I mean, there's those guys are so valuable. I mean, that's why Chet Holmgren went so high too. Like Chet's kind of in that same boat where it's like a unicorn of a player, whatever you want to call him, but like a little thin, but you got to give him the benefit of the doubt that once they get to the professional level, they get in the weight room, they get professional level nutrition and workout plan, like they can develop their bodies into being NBA ready.
I'm pretty sure Chet Holmgren has about a foot on me at least.
Oh yeah.
And he weighs less than me. So he is,
oh yeah,
he is literally built like a beanpole.
Yeah.
But
same with me. Oh, I mean, yeah, I believe he's definitely over 7 foot. I think he's like 7'1".
Yeah. And I certainly ain't 6 feet. So,
No.
I mean, but mad skills. And that's what Wembanyama is able to bring.
He's a fantastic shooter. I mean, obviously we're going to have to see how that translates once he gets to the big leagues, but like a guy that tall that can shoot like that can handle like that can pass like that. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, if you look back at KD back when he was at Texas, he looked rail thin too at the time, but he was still 210 pounds. So Chet is,
so he was a little thicker, but
a little bit thicker, but still looked thin.
KD's still thin. Like you look at him, you look at him and you look at his weight and you're like, I don't know, that it doesn't look like it matches up, but he's just so lanky and long that it does. Like,
so KD is listed at 240 pounds.
Like,
Giannis is listed at 242,
and they
so no
different.
chance that KD actually weighs 240.
Yeah, who knows? But like, obviously, he holds his own on defense. Like, he does.
Yeah, totally.
He's developed into his body, and I think like guys like Chet and Victor, like they're gonna do that too. Well, I mean, hopefully, so because Chet looked really good at times in the summer league, like scary good. But he did get. I believe it was I forget his name for the Grizzlies, that their big center. It was like I think he might have been an undrafted guy, but he was
throwing him around,
giving him the business down low. Yeah. So like, and then you think of that, like you think of like a Joel Embiid down low trying like back.
He's not letting him. He's not letting him in the paint.
My God, Giannis, like a Jokic, like no, he's gonna get welcome to the NBA real fast.
Yeah, I want to stick with the KD talk. And so there's new rumors out today. We are here live on a Monday that the Nets are kind of re-engaging in trade talks, and now we're bringing the Grizzlies into the mix. Potentially. What'd you say? The Pelicans were reached out, or the Pelicans did reach out to Brooklyn. Can you kind of give a little bit of a dive into the Pelicans thing, and then any thoughts on the Grizzlies?
Yeah, so as far as the Pelicans goes, from what I heard, they have inquired about a trade for him, but they were unwilling to include Brandon Ingram in the deal. So I think, like, obviously from a Nets perspective, like this is a team that doesn't want to just take. They've said this with Kyrie Irving, and I'm assuming the same goes for Kevin Durant. Like they want draft compensation, but they also want win now players. They don't want to get just draft compensation and a bunch of scrubs. Like Brooklyn's a team, as we alluded to earlier with the Danny Ainge trade, like they went through such a grueling rebuild and it was just awful. I mean, before they got Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they had a magical season for them with D'Angelo Russell and those boys where they went on like a playoff run. That was like the best thing that had happened to them in the last 10 years. Like it's pretty unbelievable, like how they've clawed their way back to being a respectable title contender, the last few years. But so this is not a team and a fan base that is eager to just take draft compensation and just go back to being like tanking and being a horrible team. Like I understand. So with the Pelicans, like if Brandon Ingram's not going to be in the deal, Zion's not going to be in the deal 100%. Like what are you getting? Are you getting like Herb Jones, who is a guy that I really like, but he's not a star player. He's a great role player. What are you going to get? CJ McCollum, like he's not a guy you want to build around. So it's going to be tough if Brandon Ingram is not in any talks, then I think the Pelicans are just out. Like don't think they have any chance.
Would you make a deal with Brandon Ingram in it? I mean, if you I see if I'm the Pelicans, what I hope Brandon Ingram eventually turns into is KD. That was kind of his prototype coming out of Duke was, the hope is he can turn into a KD. It's clear at this point. I mean, KD by year 2 was past where Brandon Ingram is now. So I don't think so. That trajectory is off base, but BI still was an all-star last year.
Yeah. I love the strides that he's made over the last couple of years.
And it's been amazing since he got out of LA, just meteoric improvement that he's made. But oh my God, how tempting is it to be able to run out there McCollum, KD, Zion, Jonas Valanciunas is out there too. Herb Jones potentially you may have to throw Herb Jones into the deal, but they've also got Jackson Hayes coming off the bench, who really nice, especially defensively.
Yeah,
good athletic piece. They got him in that some 3-way deal, I think, with
that's night, wasn't it?
No, they did get him. They did draft Jackson Hayes.
That was part of the AD trade. I think that's
what it was. Okay, yeah, because that was a 3-way deal. I mean, Larry Nance is fine. Jose Alvarado is
Grand Theft Alvarado.
Yeah,
dude, I love that man. Like, I don't know. They do have some interesting pieces. Like, would I do it? Probably. I do really like Brandon Ingram, and this is all. If you do that trade, you got to hope that Zion's the guy, because if Zion gets hurt again or turns out to be not what they thought, like it's going to be just a complete bust of a team. So
yeah, you're right on that. Trade, but
Zion's got to be the guy.
I really think the league is as open as it's ever been. I mean, it's not like LeBron owns the East like he did for nearly a full decade. Right. The Warriors, they are coming off obviously their title, but
limited though.
How long are they going to be able to keep this going? Right. I mean, are they really going to repeat? Let's be honest. I mean, Draymond's out there already talking about how he wants a max extension. So who knows what, and his mind is in a whole nother world now. It's less focused on the court and it's way more focused on his new podcast, which good for him. He's getting good viewership, but dude, it was after every finals game. It's like I don't even know if he stopped at the locker room. It's like he went straight from, the court to his mic.
Yeah, to the media. Yeah.
Who knows where his head's at? Clay isn't the same. Wiggins had he had a career year, but is he really going to be, is he going to be able to play the same way? Jordan Poole.
Right. He's going to got a lot of guys to pay. I don't think they're going to be able to pay all of them. I mean, I think you're going to really have to, like, if Draymond wants a max, I'm sorry, you got to
move the fuck off of him.
I wouldn't give him a max.
Let anybody else give him that max that he wants, because guaranteed nobody else is giving him that kind of cash.
I think he's definitely, and again, I love Draymond, like, at least is what he brings on the court. Maybe off the court, you can say what you want about him, but I think on the court, he brings a level of defensive toughness and IQ, and his passing is super underrated. I think he is such a good passer. And I think there were times where Kerr's played him at the point guard, like, especially when Steph has been hurt.
Oh yeah.
But he's a guy that his box score definitely doesn't tell you the whole story of what he does out there. But that being said, he's not worth a max contract.
Not a chance.
And especially with everybody else that's going to have to get paid. Like, if you're going to want to keep Steph happy, you're probably going to have to keep one of Draymond or Clay around. That's just kind of what it's going to come down to. I'd probably rather have Clay, because I don't think Clay is going to demand a max with kind of how his level of play once he came back wasn't up to par. I would definitely prioritize Poole. I think Poole is like an ascending star. He's going to be one of the better scoring guards in this league. Wiggins was really good, but, like, is he worth a max? Or maybe do you want to do a sign and trade with Wiggs? Like, they got some moves to be made. I think one that I would feel confident in is not giving Draymond the max.
Yeah. But so I guess that, that brings me just back to my original point, is it feels like the league is pretty wide open, given that you don't have, it's not the Warriors and versus LeBron for that
for 5
4-year stretch.
Yeah.
There's no, it's not Harden and the Rockets where they kept making the Western Conference Finals and falling just short. I mean,
we thought it was going to be the Suns.
We thought it was going to be the Suns, but now, Chris Paul again flames out in the playoffs. Yep. DeAndre Ayton got that money, but that takes money away from somebody else. Plus, he knows that Phoenix didn't want to give him the max. I'm pretty sure ownership said that they weren't planning on giving him the max, and they just had to match Indiana's offer.
That's why he signed with Indiana. I mean, I think that showed me that they were just telling him, hey, go find a deal and we'll match it because we don't want to pay you the full max that they could have paid him.
And then he ended up getting that max. Yeah. They did end up matching, but still that Phoenix thing is going to be weird. Can Devin Booker really fully carry a team? We'll wait and see, but they gave him a super max.
Oh yeah.
On the eastern side, the Nets obviously a mess. Celtics, I think they're here to stay, but they're young. I mean, but you're going to run into that every year where there's going to obviously be good teams along with Milwaukee. But I think it's open enough where if I'm the Pelicans, I'm comfortable planning on running out there starting, or 4 of your starting 5 at least being McCollum, KD, Zion, Valanciunas. That's badass, and I think that may be enough for them to make a conference title run. Going back over to, though, one of kind of what's been reported as the front runner in this entire Kevin Durant piece is Boston.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It seems like Jaylen Brown's going to have to be included in that deal for it to get done. I know that I think the Nets asked for Jason Tatum when they were in discussion. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Tatum is at this point a better player than KD, so that would be that would just be a stupid move. Healthier player, less experienced, but ultimately first team All NBA. That says everything you need to know. What would you say it would take if you are the Celtics to get KD? You're already going to say, okay, Jaylen Brown has to be in there. Mm-hmm. What more are you giving up? Or are you saying you're going to say straight up deal?
I mean,
Marcus Smart. Are you going to throw in a Marcus Smart?
I wouldn't. I think he's so important to what they do. I think he's definitely like the heart and soul of that team. Tatum and Brown are the best players, but I think Smart is, whatever you want to call it, a glue guy. I mean, he's definitely the guy that kind of holds it together. He's like what Draymond's been to the Warriors. I mean, he's just that guy that goes out there and he takes all the negative attention. People don't like him, but he gets the job done. So I wouldn't include Smart. If I'm the Nets, I look at it and say, what team is going to give me a better player to win now than Jaylen Brown? And it's been reported that Jaylen Brown, they're willing to include him in the trade. So at a certain point, I might have to just settle. And that sounds weird saying settle for Jaylen Brown because he's a great player, but you might have to just settle for Brown and some draft compensation rather than trying to be greedy and get more, because what other team is going to give you a player that's better than Jaylen Brown? I mean, you could say Brandon Ingram is better than Jaylen Brown. I don't know. That's kind of a toss up, maybe better offensively, but the Pelicans.
I'm gonna take Jaylen Brown over Brandon Ingram. What's the phrase? 7 days of the week and twice on Sunday, or whatever that stupid phrase is.
So but then BI's off the table. So it's just kind of and I know they've talked to the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies have reportedly said no Jaren Jackson Jr., no Desmond Bain in the deal, obviously no John Morant in the deal. So I think the Grizzlies are what are you going to get from them? Are you going to get Brandon Clark and
See, this is the thing is that, so there's this report that came out that 9 teams inquired.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to be willing to give up anything. You got to give up something if you're getting KD.
It's Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant.
If I'm the Celtics, with Malcolm Brogdon now on the squad, I think I've got a little bit more flexibility in terms of being able to move off Marcus Smart. I would obviously love to have Brogdon there as kind of a sixth man rather than a starter, but it's KD, man. I mean, you're getting that instant upgrade right away with Jaylen Brown. You can plug Malcolm Brogdon in. They also got Gallinari, so he can fill in kind of the scoring piece off the bench.
I would definitely try to include like a Derek White instead of a Marcus Smart, because I think Derek White is still a quality young player. I mean, he's never going to be a star.
What is that? What is he going to ascend to? That's the thing is like, I mean, he may have peaked this past postseason where frisky defender and was knocking down huge shots, but Derek White was not but Derek White isn't thought of as this guy is a must, have on every single team kind of a guy. So I don't know. You got to be willing to give up something to get. And
but I think
if you want KD, you got to give.
Packaging that with a Jaylen Brown, though, I think that's where I'm like, if I can get away with doing a Jaylen Brown,
but I don't think you're going to be able to get away with that. But based on what the Nets are asking for,
you're going to have to put in some more draft compensation too. And that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, Grizzlies, if they're not going to include Bane or Jaren Jackson, then take them out of the mix. Yeah, I saw the Heat inquired, but they probably, what are the Heat going to give up if they're not going to get rid of Jimmy, Bam, which they can't give up Bam because of that stupid NBA rule with can't have two rookie max extensions on the same roster.
True. And like,
don't understand that.
Hero by himself isn't getting that done. Like, it's I don't know. And I think Hero needs to be extended too, so that might complicate things with whether he can be traded there or not too.
I don't know. The KD thing is just strange. He's a strange cat in his own right, given that he said he said his first option would be go to the Heat, but he would only go to the Heat if they hang on to Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and I think somebody else. Like, they're not going to trade you for three rotational players, and the Heat don't really have. They're never going to have good draft picks as long as this roster's intact. Late 20s, and KD's been just completely off base for his own value. You'd think that he would want to demand the world to show that he's that valuable, but I don't know his ego. I don't know. He just seems way the frick off track.
That's just like, it's such a slap in the face of the management too, because they have done nothing but give him what he wants. I mean, they got Kyrie. They've dealt with Kyrie being Kyrie for Kevin Durant. They traded for James Harden. They traded like what little
a shit ton, way too much.
And they don't have any other picks because of that. And then James Harden wanted out. You get nothing basically in return for James Harden.
Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, fine, but not nearly what you traded away to get Harden.
No. And Ben Simmons is like, I don't even know what. That's a whole nother conversation that we could have, is what's going on with Ben Simmons. And having those two on the same team is just crazy to me. Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant.
All three of those guys with Kyrie and too. and Steve Nash, who we don't know what he can handle as a coach.
He had never coached before. And Kevin Durant wanted Steve Nash. And then they said, okay, we'll sign Steve Nash. And now he's like giving an ultimatum of, you need to pick Steve Nash and the general manager or me. And it's like, what is going through his mind? It's not like he's won them multiple championships and he's like they
see if this was a Kobe situation. So back in the mid 2000s when Kobe was upset at Laker management,
that made more sense.
He had already won them 3 titles after that happened, and that was when they were still making Western Conference Finals trips, and Smush Parker was his freaking point guard. So of course Kobe deserves to be pissed off at that point. KD has done nothing for this Nets franchise, and it's a
second round exit. I mean, that's all he's given them is a second round exit. That's crazy.
They got swept by Boston this year in the first round. Are you kidding me? Not acceptable.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with his situation. That's why I'm like, I don't fault the Nets for just being like, hey, we're not going to trade you unless we get an offer that blows us away. He's under contract for multiple seasons. Same thing with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, obviously it's a different situation, but like there's no incentive. It's not like he's a free agent next year and they're like, we have to get something for him now. Like, yeah, he's unhappy, deal with it. You're still on the team. I mean, they're not just going to give him away for nothing.
And let's not forget that the Nets signed KD to that max deal off of an Achilles injury, and they paid him that full season while he was rehabbing, the full 46 million or whatever it was in his salary. So I don't know. KD's just kind of screwing the Nets here, and they've done, like you said, everything to cater towards his needs, his wants, and he's just
screwing them.
He's just screwing them. But hey, this good first episode here. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter at Dead Arm Sports, on Facebook, search Dead Arm Sports, on YouTube. Again, we are live right now. We're always here to the chat box is wide open for any questions or topics you guys want to hit us up with. Also make sure to find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Pods. I guess that about wraps up episode 1.
About does it, yeah.
We will see you in the promised land.